Hello, my lovelies. We're going to read a dead time story from one of my favorite books, The Best of Dakota Mysteries and Oddities. This was my thrift shop find, my treasure find. That's what I call it because the stories in here are friggin' amazing. Some are really scary, some are fucking weird and just leave you scratching your head and thinking, what the fuck? All happened right here in North Dakota. That's the cool part. I think it's cool. Alright, this story is called Grant County Jail's Whodunit. Whodunit. Happened in Carson, North Dakota. Alright. The janitor was surprised to find one of the prisoners lying outside his cell in the early morning hours of December 3rd, 1957. He was shocked when he learned the prisoner was dead. How the fuck did that guy get out? That's probably what we're gonna... Oh no, we're not gonna find out who did it because it says whodunit. Clarence Harder's battered and still warm body lay in the stairway landing between the first floor and the basement of the Grant County Courthouse, which housed the county jail. He'd been hit in the head with a blunt instrument and then strangled to death. This person really wanted to make sure the motherfucker was dead. Of course, the question of the day was, who did it? Another inmate, Milton Zimmerman, shed some light on the matter. He said two men, strangers to him, broke into the courthouse and roughed him up before they killed Harder. However, under heavy questioning, Milton told a different version that shocked not only locals, but everyone across the state. For Milton pointed his finger at none other than Sheriff Earl Zimmerman as the man responsible for Harder's death. It's a possibility. Yeah. Sheriff Zimmerman was appalled when he learned about the allegations at a meeting at the Attorney General's office. He vehemently denied any involvement with Harder's death. Zimmerman claimed authorities offered lenience if he pled guilty. He said they told him if he'd sign a confession, we'll all go to bat for you. But the sheriff refused. You have nothing on me because I did not commit that murder. He was adamant. He did not kill that fucking person. Ay, diamoria. Alright, Sheriff Zimmerman's story. The sheriff claimed the last time he saw Harder was around 6 the night before when he served him dinner. Then he went on patrol with the local state game warden. Upon their return, he went to bed. Unable to sleep, he returned to his office and worked on mileage reports until 4 in the morning, when he went home again. He insisted he didn't see Harder until the janitor discovered the inmate's body the next morning. And here's Milton Zimmerman's story. The 17-year-old said it was about 2 in the morning when the sheriff asked that he accompany him to the cell block in the courthouse basement to get a confession from Harder. Although not yet charged, the two inmates were held as suspects of a check-cashing scheme. Milton said Harder got very angry when he and the sheriff talked about the case in front of him. Harder got so angry, he hit Milton on the nose with his fists. He said the sheriff told Harder to quiet down or he would pull a gun. Harder ignored the threats and jumped on Milton, knocking him to the floor. The story goes while Milton was on the floor with Harder on top, the sheriff left the room only to immediately return. He must have hit Harder on the head with something. Harder rolled off me, but then got up and started to fight with me some more, Milton said. At that point, Sheriff Zimmerman allegedly grabbed Harder's neck in the crook of the elbow of his prosthetic arm. What? Okay. Using his good right hand, he pulled on the prosthesis to tighten the stranglehold. Don't you mean stranglehold? It's probably just a typo. Either that or I just can't fucking read because I'm having one of those nights. Milton said he stepped outside the cell when he saw Harder's face turn blue. A few seconds later, the sheriff came out and told him that Clarence Harder was dead. He said the sheriff told him they had to make up a story. The sheriff threatened to blame him if he didn't tell authorities that two strangers broke into the courthouse and killed Harder. The story goes that Milton and the sheriff dragged Harder's body partway up the stairs from the basement. Then the sheriff overturned a chair in front of Harder's cell door and tossed a hammer on the floor. Finally, the sheriff told Milton to scratch himself on the chest and arm and bite himself on the arm. Then Milton hid behind the furnace until the janitor found Harder's body. Who would the jurors believe? Probably the sheriff, because you know how that goes. Milton's story was long. Surely no law enforcement agent would do what he claimed Sheriff Zimmerman did and then tried to cover it up. The public didn't buy the charges against their sheriff. Earl Zimmerman was known as a decent man who'd overcome a serious accident to make something of himself. Nonetheless, representatives of the Attorney General's office obviously sided with the inmate. The jury didn't. The 11-man, 1-woman jury. Wow, 11 men and 1 woman. That sounds not fair. Woman jury took 6 hours and 20 minutes to acquit Sheriff Zimmerman. So ends the story, right? No, not quite. The verdict came in July of 1958. So about, 7-8 months later, just weeks before that year's county sheriff election. The popular Zimmerman was on the ballot, even though he didn't put his name on the primary ballot that fall. His write-in votes easily gained him a spot. However, his popularity didn't carry him this time. He lost the election 1,500 votes to 900. Surely this ends the story. Nope, not really. One county courthouse worker confided she always had an eerie feeling on her way to work when she walked by the stairway landing where Harder's body was dumped. This eerie feeling didn't go away until the courthouse burned in 1973. Perhaps this story will never be complete until the question of who killed Clarence Harder is answered. There's an author's note. It says, Sheriff Earl Zimmerman and inmate Milton Zimmerman were not related. To prevent confusion, the author chose to refer to Milton Zimmerman by his first name and to Earl Zimmerman as the sheriff or Sheriff Zimmerman. Alright, so we actually didn't even get to find out who done it with that one. But somebody killed this inmate, Clarence Harder, in a brutal way too. They bashed his fucking head in and then strangled him. They wanted to make sure he was dead. We don't really know why. Says he got angry. So yeah, totally justified, man. Somebody gets pissed and you just kill their ass. No. My guess is it was the sheriff, because how would he get outside of his cell? You know, sheriff's got keys. That's just my guess. I think it's a pretty freaking educated guess, but I don't know. Weird shit happens, right? All the time. So, that was kind of a short story, but I wanted to read that one. It happened in Carson, North Dakota, which I believe, I don't know for sure, because I suck at geography, but I think Carson is over by Flasher, kind of in that area, I think. I'd have to look it up. But, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story. That's all the info that I actually had on that one. I tried to look some other info up on it, and I actually couldn't find a whole lot. A lot of the info, I think, actually probably disappeared in 1973 when that courthouse burned down, which is also a little spooky. So, unsolved story here in North Dakota. Who knew? We have lots of them, actually. And I'm going to read to you every single one of them. One story at a time. So, I hope you have a great week. I need to get a snack. I'm super hungry. Super thirsty. That's loud. Have a great week. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Butterflies, rainbows, all that happy stuff. Love you. Good night.